for good news, guess your pan, I'm saying, Ghanatube, for Sisi amene okasano good news kesi ye pan aba to Ghana fo nyina amesubedini nyina bro good news ben na sisi aba sisi amene okasano inflation asen drop by 8% odofo obekai say NPP abreso no na inflation nam double digit John Dramani Mahama eni na ban kwabet na akonya so odofo or may move inflation from double digits no at the single digit. See, I mean, Okasano October Busum way a Ghana Statistical Service for almost the survey Kesiaba. IHS inflation as also dropped by 8% or 4 way a good news Kesiapan Abetoja may be in Ghana Fun. See, I know a prices are echoing in a buffoon kakra. As you see, a movie inflation from double digits at the single digits. October we are inflation. Ghana Statistical Service for at the survey reports say inflation in October are dropping by 8% or 4 where good news can see beto jam so be in our brother for my uncle. Near what is answer when you chim or Ghanatube number is here.
Hello everyone. Today I want to provide you with the latest information about what is happening to prices in Ghana. The prices of things we all buy every day like food, clothes, fuel and transport. Every month, the Ghana Statistical Service tracks these prices using what we call the Consumer Price Index or CPI for short. It simply shows whether goods and services are getting more expensive or cheaper over time. I'll walk you through the results of Ghana's Consumer Price Index and inflation for October 2025, what the numbers mean, what's driving them, and what they tell us about how prices are changing across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, in October 2025, inflation reduced to 8% from 9.4% in September. This means that prices in Ghana were 8% higher in October 2025 than they were in October last year. This inflation rate is what we call year-on-year inflation. It tells us how much prices have changed over 12 months. The 8% year-on-year inflation rate is lower than the September 2025 inflation rate of 9.4% by 1.4 percentage points, and far below the inflation rate of 23.8% we saw at the end of last year. This marks the 10th straight month of decline in inflation and the lowest inflation rate in 4 years. When we look at prices from September to October 2025, that is month-on-month inflation, prices actually fell a little by 0.4%. So on the average, things cost slightly less in October than in September. This continued slowdown confirms that Ghana's prices are stabilizing after a long period of volatility. Let's break this down further. Inflation for food items like water, cereals and cereal products, fruits and nuts fell to 9.5% in October from 11% in September. This means that food prices went up 9.5% in October compared to last year. Food prices, however, fell by 1% between September and October this year, a sign that food costs are easing. Inflation for non-food items like clothes and rent declined to 6.9% in October from 8.2% in September. There was barely no change in non-food prices between September and October. Inflation for goods like rice, soap, or fuel slowed sharply to 9.3% in October from 11.2% in September. Month to month, good prices dropped by 0.7%. Inflation for services like transport and repairs eased slightly from 4.8% in September to 4.6% in October, though services costs rose by 0.5% between the 2 months. Inflation for locally made goods eased from 10.1% in September to 8% in October. On month-on-month basis, the prices of locally made items reduced by 0.7% between the 2 months. Inflation for imported items increased from 7.4% in September to 7.8%, while their prices rose by 0.3% between the 2 months. Now, which products mattered most in October 2025 inflation? The top 5 contributors to inflation in October 2025 were smoked herrings, 5.9% contribution, green plantain, 5.6% contribution, cinema and cultural cooked rice, 4.6% contribution, and charcoal, 4.6% contribution, altogether contributing about 26% to the October 2025 inflation. Similarly, the top 5 items with the highest inflation rates were ginger, which recorded an inflation rate of 94.1%, green plantain, 61.6%, cinema and cultural services, 52.9%, cashew, 41.3%, and lime, 39.8%. Most are food items, reflecting how weather patterns, transport costs, and local supply conditions continue to shape price movements across the country. Inflation remains uneven across the country. The Northeast region recorded the highest inflation rate at 17.3% in October, down from 20.1% in September. Prices, however, declined by 0.8% in the region between the 2 months. The Bono East, on the other hand, registered the lowest rate at 1.1%, down from 1.2% in September. Prices dropped much sharper in Bono East, by 3% between the 2 months. These sharp differences in inflation across the regions often trace back to transport costs, food distribution, and market access. The main things pushing prices are still food and housing, but both are slowing down thanks to better supply and lower fuel costs. What are the implications of these? For government, maintaining fiscal discipline and investing in storage, irrigation, and roads will help keep food prices steady. For businesses, this is a time to cut waste, improve efficiency, and buy more from local suppliers. For households, take advantage of falling inflation to budget carefully, avoid unnecessary spending, and save when prices are low. Ghana's steady decline in inflation is a clear sign of progress. If we all stay the course, producers, policymakers, and consumers, we can keep prices stable and strengthen our economy together. Let me use this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation to the hard-working staff of Ghana Statistical Service and the market readers who made this work possible. Thank you very much.
Orofo when a breaking news abeto dwa ye see inflation good news kese pan na jese fi eye Ghana Statistical Service for orofo ye see inflation a drop by 8 solid percent last year. Nanado Danko Akufo-Addo ne last year na inflation 23%. Just last year na inflation 23%. Sisi anu John Dramani Mahama bet na akonya so in less than 1 year no. Sisi anu ya dropping inflation no from 23% no they are back to see an 8%. Kane no na double digit. Sisi anu ya dropping no they are back single digit. Orofo John Dramani Mahama NDC aban no epriviache NPP for say it is possible. Ade a no muntu be nya no disi anu John Dramani Mahama NDC aban omaba baye ne kama disi anu inflation efi double digit e dey aba single digit 8%. Disi anu say nkakran no ye nduane a ye di na ade nyina no prices no e ba fom nkakran na disi anu Ghana Statistical Service for assurance say nkakran no se ne asidi no etumi nya hoden no 8% na aba fom no nkakran no ebetumi aba fom more ye budget price so more odofo we and a breaking news efi aye Ghana Statistical Service good news kesiye say inflation a drop by 8%. I'm speaking in a bro e wo Ghanatube of mo if say me like na mo subscribe na mo share na mo hit notification bell so mine say the be ya bring ya bibia drop content say ya wo wonya ne tempa na hwe item odofo e na be dey nsem nyina bisi e wo Ghanatube so odofo makra mu nyina be da mu nyina si bebre